Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Presented by Pipe Wrench, and by Junk Be Gone, and by the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Junk Be Gone studios for today's version of the Sports Source. Big win to talk about. Win as everyone expected. The offense sputters and the defense has to carry the day. Again, same old story. We will talk about that role reversal today. We'll talk about what a quality win that was to go on the road, beat a ranked opponent. We'll tell you how long it's been since Tennessee's done that in terms of non-conference ranked opponents. But we've got a lot to do today. We've got VFLs here who are going to demonstrate the UT pass rush, actually walk you through that. We got 8 voices on the show to answer questions and give you their opinions on everything we saw. And we got 90 minutes to do it all. Let's jump right into it. First segment of this program is brought to you by our friends at Junk Be Gone. If you need help moving a big old piece of furniture out of your house, call Junk Be Gone. If you need something in the backyard demolished or removed, call Junk Be Gone. Just need a driveway dumpster that you fill up and someone else hauls all that stuff away. Again, do what I do, call Junk Be Gone. A great locally owned, family owned business for many, many years right here, junkbegone.biz. Give them a shout this week. All right. Welcome into the Sports Source. I'm joined here. We've got more guys waiting in the wings, but for this first segment of the show, we have Jimmy Hines from 99.1 The Sports Animal, Josh Ward from 99.1 The Sports Animal, Will Overstreet, VFL, and right down there, longtime sports writer, longtime member of this show from day one, Bob Hodge. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. As I said, Tennessee won 34-27 yesterday at Pittsburgh. It was their first win in 4 tries versus Pitt. But also, it was their first win over a ranked non-conference foe in the regular season since Cal in 2006. It was their first win over a ranked non-conference foe on the road since 2003, that 10-6 win over Miami. It's been a while since we've seen a Tennessee team go on the road, beat a quality non-conference foe like that. So kudos to the Volunteers. If we're looking for the lead story, and that's what we do in this first segment, I'll start. I think the lead story is what I led with over there, role reversal. Jimmy, last week you and I kind of agreed that it would be the defense that carried this game, but that's not what I meant. I thought we know what the – yeah, okay, you knew it. I thought the offense, we know what we're going to get from the offense. The defense will have to step up and make one big stop. The offense sputtered for much of that day. It was the defense that came through and held up chance after chance that the offense and special teams were giving to Pitt. Jimmy, I'm going with role reversal. That's my big takeaway. What's your big takeaway?
Yeah, when I wrote on my blog, I said it's the first time I would say that the defense won a game for Tennessee with Josh Heupel at Tennessee. I can't speak to Central Florida, but I got a feeling typically when they won at Central Florida, it was the offense. But the defense was outstanding. It did what it needed to do. The offense in the second half, 5 possessions and a field goal. All right. Well, the defense had to make stops. Now, the only scores they gave up were when Pitt started on the +19 and the +39 after blocked punts and a muff punt. So I thought the defense really rose to the occasion. If there was any doubt that the defense was vanilla against Ball State, boy, look at that Pitt. They blitzed from the edge with cornerbacks. They blitzed with safeties. They blitzed with linebackers. They had 4 sacks. They had 16 quarterback pressures, I believe it was, 9 tackles for loss. That was a very solid defensive performance, and they knocked out the starting quarterback, so it helped you that you went against the backup.
And banged up the backup too.
Yeah, you did. So he's limping around. So, but I give the defense credit for that many legal hits on the quarterbacks.
Agreed.
You know, slightly different direction. I want to go with what you learned. The big takeaway is resiliency, because I don't think you've seen that from a lot of Tennessee teams when you go back through all the mess that started, back in the aughts. The fact that they were resilient with everything that you all were talking about. God, you get a punt block. Well, there's a fumble. Well, you just muffed a punt. I think we've seen in the past teams every bit as talented as this one just kind of fold up and, we're going to lose because we can't put up with that many mistakes. And so I think the fact that they were that resilient is something that you haven't seen in probably the past, 15 years?
Well, you can make the case that the Florida game, where the one that they won, where they fell way behind and then came back and blitzed them, but the Georgia game that they won, it's a Hail Mary. You can't count it. So maybe that Florida game, there aren't many. I think you're right.
To get that going in that direction, they're going to have to show more of that before the season's over. But I just think in years past, the tone setter would have been, well, you had all your chances and you just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, or just the amount of time that, even coming out early on, you'd seen teams in the past that'd be like, this isn't our day. And that'd be the end of that
They were bad early.
Yeah, and they were really bad early in the defense. And then the offense in that third quarter, man, you were like, they can't move the ball anywhere. Yeah. So there were different times, and obviously the special teams was bad. So, I mean, there were a lot of things if you looked at and you said, all right, all of these things are going to happen, on the stat sheet, you're going to be like, you're going to lose that game. All right? I mean, like, you turn the ball over like that, this points in time, that ball game's over. So for this team to keep coming back out on the field and filling it up and going, okay, we can get them again. For me, it was perseverance. How do you keep going? How do you keep striving? And that really built around this team and was something special you hadn't seen, because most times last year it felt like we had all the momentum. We jumped on somebody and it was ball game. Or it was, we're not doing so well, we're not going to win this game. Yeah. So I think this is a different type of game of the one that you wouldn't have won last year. I think this team has stepped forward.
I agree with the perseverance and resilience, same kind of thing. Another way, since it was since it was the Johnny Majors Classic, stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah, there it is.
A lot of stick-to-itiveness. Josh, your takeaway from this game?
Yeah, remember how much time we spent last week on the show talking about no sacks, and it felt like it ended up becoming the number one talking point of the week. No sacks, and then
it was a good debate, and Daniel wins.
Yeah, and then it was it went so far one way that we started as the week went along. Well, no Alabama, no Georgia sacks, so defense of the defense. And even early in the game, it's like, well, where's the pressure on the first couple of drives? And then Tennessee found the pressure, and they did different things to make it happen, and they made plays. They weren't perfect, but even like Trayvon Flowers with a special teams mistake, he makes up for it in different ways with the early pick and then the play in the backfield late in the game.
Yeah, he had an up and down day.
Yeah, and if the game is a tone setter, and we'll see where the season goes, but we could look back at the Tyler Barron sack, strip, injury to the quarterback, which you hate to see, but it changed the game. That could end up being the play of the year, depending on how this season goes.
Interesting thing I was telling the guys beforehand on the Slovis deal, that's a good quality win to go beat that team. That's probably an 8-win team at the least, you would think. If you've knocked Slovis out for any amount of time, their record's going to go down, and that win might not look as good as it truly was in hindsight, which is a bad break for Tennessee if that happened. Hendon Hooker, very quickly, I didn't think he played his best day. He didn't have play his best game. He started out sailing some passes again, which we talked about last week. Sterling walked through the footwork. That might have been nerves because he seemed to bring it back down. He was good. I just think that wasn't as good as we normally see Hendon Hooker. And to win on a day when he's just good and not great, I think that's probably a positive for this team, because I think he'll probably play better than that moving forward.
I do too. You grade on the curve with him now. At least I do. He is so good that if he's 27 of 42, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why wouldn't he 32 out of 42?
Just 325 yards?
Yeah, is that all? What was the deal? So, yeah, I think that he has gotten to the level where now I'm a little bit more critical, because I think I see him as one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC or the country.
Right.
And I didn't think he was sharp early, and he didn't make a lot of plays in the second half either that could have helped Tennessee. So to win on a day when I thought he played average for his ability, I thought that spoke well for Tennessee.
I think a little bit we talked about how his experience playing against that defense, that coaching staff. I think maybe that's why he sailed a little bit early on. He's like, I'm going to get hit at some point. I think it had started his clock a little bit early, and that this is going to be a physical game. I need to get it out fast. So I think it probably did, playing this system over past games he remembered and was sitting there going, I got to get this ball out.
But how many games has he started for Tennessee now? 13?
Yeah.
He doesn't turn it over.
Yes.
And that's a huge thing. Even when he's not at his best, when he was just playing, like you said, average for him, he still wasn't throwing it to the other team. Yeah. And I think that's huge.
3 picks all of last year and none so far this year. A good win for the Volunteers. And let me throw this out, too. I don't know that should be your number one non-conference foe moving forward. But if you wanted to schedule them, if you get like the other SEC schools and you're playing 2 good Power 5 schools a year, make Pitt one of them on occasion, because those were 2. What was it, 68-68 over a 2-year span or something like that? That's pretty good. Won a game, winning overtime. Those were 2 evenly matched teams. I mean, if Pitt doesn't miss 2, if they hit one of those 2 field goals they missed yesterday, it's a different ballgame. So, very good, good series of games. I think the Johnny Majors Classic should be played with some semi-regularity. Put them on the rotation. Hey, let me tell you what's coming up in today's show. We have a lot more for you. Shaky day for the offensive line. We'll talk about that. Vol play calling, at least late in games. Are there some questions? Progress report, who's making progress? Where do they need to make progress? Punt issues, obviously, that's one. VFLs are going to demo UT's pass rush for you. We've got the Cavaliers line and a whole lot more. When we come back, what did we learn from yesterday's game? What can we take away from that one, or at least what do we think we learned? We'll discuss that next on the Sports Source.